In this video, I'm going to kind of walk you through some of the drafting operations that you might need for this assignment. So I'm in my Rhino file and I made a few changes, including the grid spacing. So what I have here are minor grid lines every 1/4 of an inch and then every inch a major one. I've reduced it down to 1 viewport. Since this is a 2D drawing, I don't need to have 4 viewports. I've turned on ortho. That will be helpful because most of the lines in my drawing are going to be straight. So this is the box that I'm going to be drawing. This is a sketch that I made of the box, and I've added dimensions to it so that I can kind of more quickly construct this drawing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with this point right here. In the lower left-hand corner, it will be my 0, 0, 0, position within the drawing. And I'll use a lot of the commands that one would use in AutoCAD. So if you're familiar with AutoCAD, this should be a pretty straightforward process. Okay, so you'll notice that for my dimensions, some of them are down to the 1/16 of an inch. You know, if it's a small box, a 1/16 of an inch will make a difference. So maybe if it's a bigger box, it won't matter so much. But anyway, we will have some pretty small sort of details associated with this particular drawing that I'm going to do. I know yours might be a little bit more simple or maybe more complicated. So back in the Rhino drawing, I'll go ahead and start constructing this box. Right now, I'm just going to put it on this default layer, and maybe at some point later, I'll change it, but that's fine for right now. I'm going to go to the polyline tool here. That's going to be fine for now. And I'm going to start with a 0, 0 dimension. And I'm going to type in 0.1325 because that is the height of my box in that vertical direction. So one thing about Rhino that you'll discover is that, you know, after you put in a dimension, you have to confirm the point by clicking on the screen. Okay, so let me do that again, 0, 0, input 3.125, press enter, and then click. Okay, now that line is there. Let me get rid of these lines. Okay, so one thing I had done is pressed escape and the line disappeared. So you need to, after you confirm the point, you want to press enter. All right, so this line here will be a line that I offset several times. So I'm going to go back and show you the sketch, and then I'll go ahead and construct these offsets. Okay, so the line that I drew is this one right here. And as you can see, it's a dashed line indicating that it is a folded edge. So I've got that one drawn, and now I'm going to start offsetting 2 9/16, 5/8, 2 9/16, and 5/8. Use the offset command. Again, this is very similar to what you might use in AutoCAD. I'm going to click on distance here, and this one is going to be 2 9/16 of an inch. Pick the line and pick the side I want to offset. I'll do that again. Next one, you know, this is going to be a little bit tedious for a while here. Okay. 0.625, select the curve or the line, and I'll just keep repeating that. Now, some of these lines may need to be trimmed or edited, but I just want to kind of get the basic proportions of the box in place, and then I can come back and work on some of the details. So I will also offset this in the opposite direction. Okay, and I find it faster to kind of work with the shortcuts. Okay. Now again, I'll have a little fold that comes down here, but now I can start to construct some of the other lines. We'll do a horizontal one. And one thing to mention for the object snaps, I tend to like to keep it to a minimum, only the ones that I'm really using actively. Right now I've got checked end and intersection. Okay, so now I can start to add some more line work. Now this line right here needs to extend up to this one, so I can use the extend command. I can also click on the line, hold down the shift key and bring that up. And we'll just go and check and make sure it's where it's supposed to be. Okay, so extend is another command that you might find helpful. Now I need to add a line that is basically at the midpoint between this point here and this point here. So I'm going to create a little line that I can just use temporarily. Let's do that again. Again, a little bit of getting used to how you input stuff. I want to use a midpoint tool here and bring this up. I'm going to press enter, not escape. I'm going to make a circle, this center point, and its radius will be 0.375. And, just to kind of get rid of some of these lines, trim, select cutting objects, it's circle, what you want to trim. Oops. Okay. And we'll do that again with this one and this one. Okay, so can experiment with that a little bit. Okay, I will go ahead and draw a few more things, and then I'll let you know if we kind of come across anything that would be helpful for you as you're doing your drawing. So, as I mentioned, the details are kind of important, and you'll notice here that there's a little angle at this top part. That will help the box to fold in nice and neatly. If you don't do that, it may have trouble fitting in there. So I'm going to go ahead and construct this part. Okay, so here we go again. I keep pressing escape instead of enter. Okay, and then I'm going to offset this from a distance of 1/16. Okay, and in here. And I'm holding down the shift key so that I could grab that point and move it down. And then I can do the same thing here, hold down the shift and bring that in. Okay, so here you have a details. There's a number of places where that kind of thing will happen. If I look at my sketch here, there's a number of these little angles. So you may have to kind of offset and then make a diagonal and then come back and clean it up a little bit. Another thing you may want to do is use the fillet tool, which is similar to the command in AutoCAD, and I'm going to set it to 0 so that I can bring these two lines together. Like so, it makes that a little bit faster. So a little bit further along, mirror is another command that you may be familiar with. And I can take it from midpoints and use the fillet tool again to clean that up. So this one here is actually an ellipse. I forgot. So there should be a number of things I can also mirror here as I continue on. So I'm going to keep this axis line and continue to draw. So with my box, there's a hole that's cut out of it, so you can see the contents of the box. So I have added the lines here as offsets, and now I'm going to use the fillet tool, but I'm going to change the radius to 0.125, which is 1/8 of an inch. Okay. And we'll just go around and finish these. So I did these two lines. Now let's try the other ones. First curve to fillet. There we go. Yeah, something's going on with this one. I have to look into what the issue is, but basically the process would be the same to create these filleted lines so that we have a radius corner. I had to trim them back and then do the fillet, but that's completed. Now, the only part to like give some thought to at this point is the issue of the folded lines or the dashed lines that indicate folds. So again, if we go back and look at the sketch, it's all of these lines here that will be folds, not cuts. Now, when we send this to the vinyl cutter, it's going to want to cut every single line there. But we need to have some kind of indication that there's a fold in those locations. So what I'm going to do is just leave a part of those lines. So for example, we have this one going all the way across. It's dashed on my sketch. But if I leave that there, it's going to cut the whole thing. So I'm going to make a circle here. Let's say with a radius of, yeah, we'll leave it at that, at 1/4 of an inch, and I'll do the same thing down here. And then what I'm going to do is choose those two circles and click on, and then trim that middle line. So I will have a kind of, you know, some assistance right here is that little line that's left over. So I know where I need to make the fold, but I don't want that full line running all the way across. And I'll go around and do that for all of the lines that are folds and not cuts. So that should be all the lines and some indication where I need to make folds. So, you know, like I didn't add them down here because I have a point to work off of. But in some of the locations, I really needed it, like this one right here, because it's just not clear where that curve breaks and where the fold would occur. But this is maybe something like what your drawing will look like. And then we're ready to move on to the next step.